Accepting change. I was going to blog about this, but it might be long, so I thought I would just make a video. It's easier. A woman told me once, a few months ago, well, welcome to the country. As I was looking at what I feel is not pretty living. You know, I grew up in the country too, but we didn't have cobwebs and dirt and stuff, you know. And I'm not calling you or her, anybody, you know, a horrible person or housekeeper, whatever. It's your house. You have the right to keep it however you want. I'm just saying that because you think it's that way doesn't mean other people should think it's that way, and it's okay. You know, I understand that cleanliness is next to godliness thing, and I don't necessarily believe all of that either. But what I do believe is you would want to find whatever is comfortable for you, as long as you're the only one that has to deal with it. You know, like going into a hoarder's house. I wouldn't feel too comfortable there either. You know, and all of that made me think about this last situation that I am going through. You know, change. You know, my spiritual changes, my physical changes. You know, and as you get older, something different changes all day. You know, except we're older now and we notice those things as opposed to other things. Because, you know, everybody's not Cher and Tina Turner and all them other movie stars that, you know, can pay somebody $1 million a month to help them stay in shape or, you know, cook only good foods or whatever. So that made me think, you know, do I do that to other people? Do I think... I don't think so. But if I do, please feel free to email me, tashaspeaks@gmail.com, so that I can fix that with myself, you know. And again, I'm not calling anybody a horrible person. I'm just saying, you know, just because, you know, it's a pretty house on the outside and it's, you know, like living with Lily and Herman Munster on the inside, that you're a bad person. That's not my point at all. My point is, because you think country life is that way, that's not true. Just like any other life is not. Just because you live in Hillsboro with the basketball and football players doesn't necessarily mean your house has to be, you know, $1 million and da 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 da. Same. Or I'd be a hypocrite, you know. However, my house will be as my mother's house was when we lived in the country, smelling like bleach or Ajax, and you can eat off the floors. You know, I'm not shitting on you. I'm just saying that's how I was raised, and that's what works for me. You know, you clean behind the refrigerator, whether you can see back there or not. You clean behind the stove, get all that grease out. You know, you keep your body clean, your mind clean. Where the mind goes, the behind follows. You know, what does that say about me as a person? Just like whoever you associate yourself with is how people are going to judge you. You know? It is. It really is. So even though we know as spiritual beings, that's not exactly the nicest way to look at it, but it's still true, isn't it? You're going to go look at my friends list and say, oh, Tasha hangs out with a bunch of witches. So she's into all that hocus pocus stuff. Yeah, I am. I'm into stuff that's good for kids. I'm into stuff that's good for the environment. Pretty much. We don't recycle and stuff here. You know, out in the country, most people around here, some people do have their trash picked up. Some people, I think, burn their trash. I don't know. We take ours to the dump, which was a fun experience. However, I digress. You know, that really got me thinking about me and what that notion says to me about me, you know. And hopefully it only states that I'm staying open-minded. I mean, if you look at my place right now, you'd be like, Tasha, this is a pigsty. Well, at least there's floor space. You know, I'm recycling, getting rid of old things that I don't need anymore, leaving room for prosperity to have a place to go. You know, that's why Mama said you always keep your closets clean. You keep, you know, your drawers neat and clean so there's some space. Otherwise, where will prosperity sit? Where will money sit? You know, where will harmony go to live with you? There won't, if you're not leaving it any room, you know. And again, if you're that type of person, you know, that has cobwebs and dirt in your house, I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm just saying, you know, that's not my house. It's not a put down. It's just a spiritual reality. You know, I gotta relate everything back to spirit. That's just how I roll. So what is your spirit saying? Look around your house. Look at your person. Look in the mirror. And on a lot of days, I don't comb my hair. So, you know, sometimes the spirit is like, hey, you know, go brush your tongue. Swish around some scope, mouthwash, and comb your hair, put some eyebrows on, and, you know, keep your spirit up. You know, keep your spirit up. And then that led me to thinking, you know, other things like keeping your word. You know, there's a saying, word is bond. So how good is your word? Is your word bond? You know, is your spirit in tune? I almost said enlightened, but I don't really like that word because a lot of people misuse that word as a one-upsman kind of thing, you know, and no, that can't happen. Is your spirit in tune with what you think would be vibrationally correct for your spirit? Again, you know, not keeping up with the Joneses. You know, just because she has a Lexus, I have to have a Lexus. No, not that. Not that at all. It's not about that. It's about your spirit, what's good for you. You know, if this is good for you, so be it. It's not for me, so I got to keep it pushing, keep, you know, looking for better, more, setting your goals. You know, I'm in the process of putting up a new treasure map, prayer board, whatever you want to call it. So I've been tearing pictures out of magazines of things I want. You know, my truck, my bigger truck. Hey, I want a Peterbilt, okay? Old one, the old-fashioned kind with a big, huge square nose. You know, so I could be independent, you know. My own forklift. My own garage to put my forklift and truck in, you know. I posted a picture of my beautiful country home that I hope to have any day now. That I have. And I'll be happy to invite all you over for a nice little brunch on the veranda. You know? Excuse me. And I thought, wow, Tasha, you've come a long way. You've learned a lot of lessons. Keep it pushing. Just keep going. I don't get time to sit and wonder and why, how, who, what, when, and all that other good stuff, you know? Just keep going. Keep going, keep going. I don't know if this thing's gonna shut off, so I gotta plug it in, sorry. On the same token, you know, don't forget to stop and just be good to yourself, you know. Just remember to be good to you all the time. And I know, you know, a lot of people say, well, Tosh, you know, I've got a husband, I've got kids, I've got a wife, I've got this, I've got the and. Others do too, and they stop to be good to themselves. You know, stop and say, hey, am I doing what my spirit is supposed to be doing? I got the answer to that by Louise Hay this morning. Loving yourself is accepting all of you and loving all of you, how you are, mentally, physically, you know, job, house, mate, kids, fur babies, everything. Accepting all of that is loving yourself. You know, saying no sometimes, like I tell a lot of people, is loving yourself. You know, sometimes you have to say no. You know, there's just no option. You know, I love myself enough to say no to a lot of things. Somebody wanted to go out today, and I'm like, no, I shouldn't be going out. I need to get this room cleaned up so that when I do move, when God gives me my divinely right home, you know, with grass, with cement, with pretty flowers, with everything, you know, that's on my list, I'll be ready. All I gotta do is call the truck and say, hey, you know, this guy that I hired to move me here, hey, you know, Josh, come move me right now. Okay, I'm on my way. I'll be ready. Everything's going to be in order. All the I's dotted and all the T's crossed. You know? Yeah. But in order to get there, you know, everything needs to be right spiritually here. You know? So I can be happy with someplace else, something else, someone else. Later. You know? Are you being grateful? There's so much to be grateful for. So much. You know? And if you are one of those that are keeping up with the Joneses, why? Do they pay your mortgage? So why do you want what somebody else got? Not to say not to have goals. That's totally different. That's totally different. You know, so if your biggest goal is a house like Herman and Lily Munster, you know, with the dirt and cobwebs, so be it. I'll be happy for you. Whatever makes you happy, I'll be happy for you, you know? And I hope that we all remember to, you know, stay in touch with your spirit. If you're doing that for the spiritual reason, if you're doing it for the betterment of the planet, for God, you know, kudos to you. Kudos. You know? Because I got to tell you, the main thing I'm grateful for is having, you know, this, you know, wonderful family that took me in, gave me a place to stay. And life is good. Life is good, you know? So, change. More change is coming, always coming, constantly coming. You know, are you ready? If you're not going to be ready, you're going to be tilted and say, well, I don't know. Well, maybe, well, Tosh, but when, be still. Be still. And know it's going to be all right. Not because you're flailing your arms saying, help me, and you're killing the person that's trying to save you. You know? And I know a lot of you out there have friends that are trying to help you and, you know, hold your hand. You know, you hold a person this way as you're swimming towards something. You're like having them tail after you because you swim with this hand and you hold them under here with their head above water this way, you know. But you can't do that if you're fighting the person who's trying to help you stay afloat. Of course you would stay afloat if you just breathe slowly. Did you know that? If there's air in your lungs, you'll float. That's why people always put a brick around their foot when they want to kill themselves and throw it over the boat in the movies. Yeah. And when there's no more air, yeah, well, you know, you stay down. And I got to really tell you, just making this video, I feel so good with myself, having, you know, gotten over a couple of lessons, hurdles, you know, this week. And I'm like, okay, Tosh, you did good. You didn't stay mad for 30 minutes. You didn't, you know, waste time, coulda, shoulda, woulda, and, you know, stuff like that. Kudos to you, you know. And I felt good within my skin. And it's time to keep it pushing. So, you know, let's all remember your spirit in the craziest ways, you know, saying no. You know, not necessarily having to keep up with the Joneses, or not necessarily in having to get that just to do that. You don't hold your breath to have that when you don't. You don't say, well, when I get this, I'll do that. No. When I get my huge warehouse for the Angels Network and have lots of babies and grandmas and, people to drop in, then I will have it. But in the meantime, I'm constantly working on that goal. Meeting people who also, love children, or old people that need a place to stay, because in the warehouse, this warehouse is going to be so huge, it's going to be daycare, and then the grandparents will watch the kids while you're working over here, and, and husbands and wives can work together or not or whatever, and we all could be one great big happy team. That's my vision, one of many, So when you go to work, you don't have to stress about the kid. The kid is sick. So what? Bring your kid to work. If you need to work. If you don't need to work, stay home. See, that's what the Angels Network is all about. Helping you get in where you fit in. But you got to know where you fit in. You can't fit in and say, oh, well, I just want to be lazy and do nothing. No, because, my next goal is, going back to volunteering. Going to the elementary schools around here and teaching sign language again, reading to the kids, going to YMCA, doing my healings or whatever there, teaching some crystal classes, teaching jewelry classes, teaching little girls how to make their own jewelry, something. I have lots of lists of things I need to be doing, for my spirit. So I can grow. So I know that God will be happy with me when we meet. Some billions and billions of things to be doing, to be preparing for. You don't just sit and wait and say, oh yeah, well, one day when I get that $1,000, then I'm going to, give it to Tasha to help her with her angel network and help the kids. No, you can give me $5 and call it a day. I mean, that'll help my blog talk costs. Because it doesn't matter. I still have to do readings. If I do readings for an hour, though I prefer to do it for 2 hours, but, everything, unfortunately, like that costs money. And when Tosh don't have the money, oh, well, you only get an hour show. And everybody don't get a free reading. But I had to do what I have to do for my spiritual purpose for being. So I just get in where I fit in, too. If I only got an hour, then I only got an hour. So I hope you find some joy in your purpose for being here. And if you don't know what your purpose for being here is, let's figure out what it is. Because obviously it's not for you just to be uncomfortable in life. That's not any fun. And don't you think whatever God you believe in, want you to have some fun in life? I hope so. I really hope so. Because that would make for a horrible life if you didn't have any fun. And people say, and then that's when you start throwing your problems out there. Well, you just talking about your problems is not a spiritual purpose for being either. Not really, but go ahead and vent. I'll listen. Jeebs. I got a new email notifier. No, I want to bring the cat back. I like my little cat. Or my little puppy dog. What is your purpose for being? And why aren't you doing it? I'm always going to ask you that. Love yourself. Be good to you first. And what is your purpose for being? Is it just to sit around complaining about all the diseases you have? Don't write to me about that. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear how you're healing yourself. What are you doing for yourself? Yeah, I'm no spring chicken anymore. I'm not Tina Turner. I can't get up and dance for, 23 hours. I just can't do that anymore. Hold on. But get in where you fit in. What is your purpose for being? Why aren't you doing it? I know you're scared. A lot of you out there need to be, doing your readings, your healings, your teachings, and you say, oh, well, I got to go to school. Nobody said you had to go to school to be a teacher. Nobody said you had to go to school to be a teacher. You thought that because that's what humans do. But we're not coming from a human perspective. We're coming from a spirit's perspective. So you teach me about astrology, and I'll teach you about tuning into your angels, teachers, and guides. Or you teach me about, physics. I know metaphysics, but I'm talking about the other kind too, which all goes hand in hand. It all goes hand in hand. You know, the sun, moon, stars, water was here before we were. We have to work with it. So we all can be in balance. Okay? What is your purpose? What do you want? What are your hopes, dreams, desires? Do you have your prayer board, treasure map, whatever you want to call it? Do you have it up? Is it up to date? Is it someplace where you can see it? I understand you might not want others to see it, but I don't care about others. Yep, that's the truck I want. My Lariat and my Peterbilt, my forklift, my, triple wide mobile home with the extension so I could have that cute little patio thing to cover up all my trucks and stuff, and the warehouse in back so I can hire a mechanic just to keep everything running in order. Store my boat back there. What do you want? Don't let somebody else should on you and say this is how it is. No. That's how it is from your perspective, not mine. And I value your perspective because your perspective right now is teaching me something I needed to know about myself. So get out of here. Go love yourself. Figure out where you are. Figure out where you're going to be. Figure out where you're supposed to be. And then figure out how to get there. And if you need some help figuring out, tashaspeaks@gmail.com. Let's discuss it. I love you. Go love yourself. And thank you for subscribing to my blogs. I appreciate you. Love you.